Hi everyone, we are on 5.3, properties of addition and multiplication, and we are starting with key ideas for example 2. So we're working with addition property of 0 and multiplication properties of 0 and 1. So when we're looking at these, the addition property of 0, the sum, which means the adding of a problem, of an addition problem, of any number and 0 is that number. So for example, 7 plus 0 is 7. 9 plus 0 is 9. 42 plus 0 is 42. Any number plus 0 is that number. So if I said 1642 plus 0, your answer would be 1642. If I did it with multiplication properties of 0 and 1, okay, so here we have, do I have a pen on? Yes, I do. So if I did 9 times 0, my answer is 0. 42 times 0, my answer is 0. So for the product of any number and 0 is always 0. That is a multiplication property of 0. They also have the multiplication property of 1, meaning the product of any number and 1 is that number. So if I do 4 times 1, it's 4. If I do 9 times 1, it's 9. If I do 1,000 times 1, it's 1,000. So recapping, the addition property of 0, any number and 0 is that number. For multiplication property of 0, any number times 0 is 0. And multiplication property of 1, any number times 1, here it is, times 1 is that number. All right, so really it's just major practice and looking at the problems and just being very careful. So let's try, oh, there we go. Let's try example 2, problem A. So example 2, you write problem A, rewrite the problem, 9 times 0 times P. So we have multiplication all throughout. We have 2 raised dots, and you actually can add parentheses to help you make sure you simplify, which is the associative property of multiplication. So we can actually put parentheses right around there, which tells us that we know we need to do 9 times 0. And what's great about this is that we know that that's one of our properties. We know it's the multiplication property of 0. And if you take a look, we're multiplying. So that's multiplication, property of, and we're saying 0 because there's a 0 there. So 9 times 0 is 0, and we're going to times it by p. Again, we have to do another property, and the property is the exact same property. So we're going to write multiplication because it is multiplying again. Property of, and you'll see another 0, so it's a multiplication property of 0. Even though this is a variable, we know anything times 0, the answer is 0 because of the multiplication property of 0. So it doesn't matter what the variable is, we know that no matter what, the answer is going to be 0. And that is our answer. So let's see if I can write to the bottom. Yes, I can. Okay, so we're going to do 4.5 times r times 1. Be careful. Make sure your raised dots look thicker and they look higher than the decimal for 4.5. Okay, so we again can put parentheses. So we're going to do the associative property of multiplication. If I can write it in there. Okay, and we're going to put it right around r times 1 because we know that any number times 1 is going to be that number. So we know it's going to be 4.5 times r, which we know that is the multiplication property because it is multiplying, but it's not of 0, it's of 1 because you're doing r times 1, which is r. So now the only thing you have to do is rewrite to simplify because you know that a number times a variable, you just put them right next to each other. And that is your final answer. So we're going to try it number 4, and I'm actually going to do it with you on the computer so that you can see it. So this is actually how you're going to see it on the computer for try it number 4. And if you look down, there's all your drop down menu. This is all the ones that you're going to drag up possibly. So it says to simplify. So we're going to go from here to here first. And then this is our explaining. This is our explaining, and this is our simplifying, this row, or this column, I should say. All right, so we're going to do simplify the expression. We have 12 times b times 0. So they're telling us to do associative property of multiplication. So that means they want parentheses. So we need to look, and I see exactly where I need to do the parentheses around the b times 0 because we definitely want to do that first. So we are going to drag, if I can get it over there, right over there. Now, what did they do from, and I know it's hard to see, they have 12 parentheses b times 0. Now they're going to this. So what did they do? They did one of the properties. They did the multiplication property, and is it of 1 or 0? If you notice, there's a 0 in there, so that's the multiplication property of 0. And now we have one more step, and we're going from this to this, simplifying. So we're doing another 12 times 0. So we are going to be doing another multiplication because it's a multiplication sign. And I see a 0, so we're doing another multiplication of 0. So 12 times 0 is going to be 0. And let's check it. And we are correct. So that's what you're going to do on your chart.